welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the Grand Finals. The Grand Finals of the Korean StarCraft League, week number 40. I apologize for the extended break, but we did have to wait for Oliveira versus Cure to conclude, and we have our results. Oliveira did take down Cure 2-0. Take him down 2-0 and has advanced on to the Grand Finals to face off against Dark. Vetoes are done, the lobby has been made, and we are loading into game 1 of this best of 5. Here we go. And if you're in the chat, on Twitch, predictions will soon be open, so you can place your bets on who you think is going to be this week's champion. Will it be our Zerg or our Terran? Will it be Dark or Oliveira? Up to you to decide. Best of luck as predictions are open, and spawning in the top left hand corner of site Delta, we have the Chinese Terran player. Oh good, I'm just typing into, there we go. We have our Chinese Terran player representing CranKy Gaming, the reigning world champion. It is Oliveira. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the South Korean Zerg player representing CranKy Gaming as well. These are teammates. It is Dark. DKZ is one of the stronger teams out there, one of the best teams in the world when it comes to StarCraft, and I mean, they've got some pretty hefty players. Oliveira, Dark, Hero, the best of the best only for DKZ, and yeah, we'll see which way this goes into the Grand Finals. It's going to be a best of 5, so we have plenty of games ahead of us. We have plenty of games to sink our teeth into. I look forward to it. And I'm really curious to see how Oliveira approaches his opponents. Oliveira is a very aggressive player, typically. A very aggressive Terran player. I mean, as I say that, we have seen him play and whip out mech from time to time. I haven't casted too much of Oliveira's TvZ in recent weeks, so I'm not too sure if he's embraced the new Cyclone as other Terran players have. But I'm sure he's willing to incorporate it in some way. What I mean by that is, for example, Cure is very fond of Cyclone-based openers, going for reactored Cyclones instead of reactored Hellions. I feel like Cure is very unique in that sense. As I say that though, Clem, Hero Marine, a lot of the European Terran players have also been embracing and mixing in some heavy Cyclone-based builds. A little bit less so when it comes to the other Korean Terrans though, like Bjorn, Oliveira as a result as well. Bjorn, Oliveira, Maru, they've been a lot more biocentric, have of course been in love with the Bjorn 2-Rax opener, Bjorn slash Maru 2-Rax opener that they've been incorporating quite a lot of. We'll see. We'll see what kind of direction Oliveira does take us in. As for now, it is going to be a standard opener. Rax Expand. Rax Expand out of Oliveira going into that factory. Meanwhile, behind this, Dark going Hatch Gas Pull into Link Speed. Standard openers all around. This should be leading into a third CC. Something that I should bring up though is the fact that we have seen quite a lot of Terran players actually be hyper aggressive. I say a lot of Terrans, specifically Bjorn and Maru. They've been going for so many 2-base all-ins. It's crazy. It's like these past 2 weeks, like Bjorn and Maru, they just refuse to expand, and thankfully Oliveira is one to expand instead. Third CC before Starport. Very economic opener here out of our Terran player. This should be leading into a Starport, should be leading into an add-on swap as well. Potentially Banshee-based opener or a Liberator. We're calming things down. There's that Starport now in production. There's the add-on swap. The Rax is pretty far away from the Starport, so it doesn't look like we're going to be going into Banshee production. We may just go Tech Lab straight into Stim. Overlord dips in, does get eyes on the timing of the Starport, so Dark, he knows that it's going to be a 3cc opener. He is aware. He is aware at this point. So upon seeing that, he can drone up, he can opt to delay or even, just delay and skip his layer timing, go for faster Evo chambers. Dark has some options. Does shut down that Reaper. Nice control there out of Dark. Hellions have hit the field. They're going to be forcing Dark back. And as we mentioned before, because of the placement of these buildings, it is not an add-on swap, which means it is not Banshee. We are going into Liberators instead. I'm a little bit surprised that, there we go. Tech Lab is now on the way. It is a little bit delayed for Oliveira, but it should be going straight into Stim. Straight into stim. So the way this dynamic works is that we're going to have a group of Hellions marauding around the map, hoping to try to drag the Queens out of position, and then bam, the Liberator rocks up and can get damage done in the main base, or vice versa, where the Liberator draws the attention of the Queens, and then the Hellions can get into a mineral line. Either or, Oliveira is looking for some economic damage. It doesn't really, there's no like pressure on him though, just because he has a third CC, so he should be soon landing it on location and expanding behind this. He's applying pressure and just trying to make Dark as uncomfortable as possible. So far, Queens are keeping up with the rotations of the Hellions. We are keeping up. Oh. We are keeping up. Liberator on the way, not towards the main base, but towards the third instead. Ooh, Dark cutting corners. No spores. No spores in position. Does mean that this Lib can get damage done. There we go. Does siege up in the third base. Queens are being drawn over towards that Liberator, which means the Hellions can go in. Dark, oh, not quite in position. Does have a couple of lings. But is it going to be enough? As Hellions, they make their way into the natural. We do have plenty of lings to deal with this. Reinforcements, they arrive just in time, and we will shut this down. How many drones? 2 workers fall. And that is not enough damage. And now Dark can go for a massive counterattack. And this Ling counterattack isn't designed to push into the natural, but it is designed to deny the third. We just deny the third base, contain Oliveira to 2 bases for as long as we can. And that dive had potential, but yeah, was lackluster. So Dark is in a really good position. He shut down the Hellions, shut down the Liberator. It wasn't worth it here for the Terran. And as we mentioned, the goal here is just to delay mining for as long as we can. Marines are revealed. We go for the surround. Dark gets the surround of the Marines. There's no way out. SCVs are being pulled. And Dark will clean this up, and this is getting out of hand. So many Marines have fallen. The wall does lift. But again, Dark can just threaten that third base. Finally, Oliveira's going to be able to force this back. He's going to be able to mine from his third, but this is quite a hefty amount of damage. Behind this, Dark doing something that we don't get to see often enough in ZVT. It's going to be Ling Bane, not Hydra, not Ultra, Muta. Let's go. Ling Bane Muta on the way here for Dark. And after cutting the Marine count in half, like, Dark is looking in a pretty good position here. You can get away with Mutas. Mutas can be really risky just because you are vulnerable to a ground-based push before you can get your Muta flock up and running. But Oliveira is stuck at home. His economy has been hindered, has been scouted, and Dark should be able to get away with the Mutas. +1 air attack on the way, 1-1, bathing speed. Now, because Dark is still investing into his Evo Chamber upgrades, he's not going mass Muta, but he will have enough Mutas to shut down drop play and to harass mineral lines. First double drop is pushing, but it is only a double drop. Means Dark is going to be able to keep up. That's a lot of creep that is being denied. Dark should be looking to respread that creep as quickly as possible. Mutas are going to be bypassing the army. They're going straight for the bases of Oliveira. Trying to bait out that Widow Mine. Oh! Nice bait on the first mine. There is a second Widow Mine behind this. I'm loving the shuffling here of Oliveira. Does rotate the mines. Double drop towards the south. Well, the second mine shot gets baited out, and here we go. Dark, he can shut this down. But is he in position? Meanwhile, the Mutas, they get into the main base. No turrets whatsoever. The Spire was not scouted, was not seen. Oliveira is just not ready for it. At the same time, going for another drop towards the south. He needs to get damage done, because this is getting out of hand. 9 SCV kills. Do you force a cancel on the 5th? Pretty good. Pretty good damage. Oh, the mine! Mine shot goes off, shuts down some more of these Mutas. But again, only two Mutas go down. We get 9 SCVs. We're doubling down on Muta production. Dark is looking pretty comfortable. I mean, he could do with a 5th base, don't get me wrong. Could do with some additional creep as well towards the south. Oliveira getting ready to just reposition his army. Where does he want to go? We're getting into Widow Mines, Thor production, Drilling Claws as well. Turrets are finishing. Oliveira making everything anti-Muta. Getting as much anti-air as possible. But the problem is that because of the early game, because Oliveira lost so much map control early on. Dark, he's already up to 80 workers. He's run up to 80. We should be seeing a hive soon or an infestation bit soon. Dark is maxing out on Lingbane Muta. And Dark is in the driver's seat. And Oliveira can't really be active on the map. Not anymore. Nice snipe on the Widowmine. Now, in a head-on engagement, Oliveira has potential, depending on how good the mine shots are. The Widowmines, we're pretty heavily reliant on these Widowmines initially to take a fight. Darky rotated over towards a third base. Oliveira, half his army out of position. We'll get here in time. First Widowmine goes off, Bailey's rolling in. They crash into the Widowmines. We have plenty more Bailey's where that came from. We just collapse on the army as well, and we just don't have enough. Not enough mines. Not enough tanks, bunkers, no defensive position. GG gets called. Dark swallows up the army of Oliveira and takes game number 1. Whew. GG. GG. Again, Oliveira just having a really rough early to mid game where Oliveira, if you remember, did lose his Liberator, lost his Hellions, lost a lot of map control early on, and he didn't achieve anything for it. And if you remember, as soon as he lost those Hellions, as soon as he lost that Liberator, immediately Dark counterattacked, was able to delay the third, kill SCVs, cripple the Marine count as well. Things started to snowball out of control after Oliveira did end up losing those first Hellions. And Dark was in the driver's seat. He was able to get away with the Mutas and able to get away with that game. GG. But that was only game 1, and this is a best of 5. It's going to be a best of 5 series here, so we still have a way to come back in this game. We can get a more back and forth. I'm hoping we can have a more back and forth game here, but it's not on me. It's on Oliveira. And I'm sure this game wasn't too much to... I'm sure it was pretty easy to reconcile for Oliveira as well. Like, a lot of this game did come down to his Hellion dive. If he hadn't gone for the dive, then we would have seen a very different game. And Oliveira would have been in a much better position. So here we go. As we get into game 2, we're going to have to tighten things up here, especially against Dark. He is so willing to just exploit any kind of weakness, any kind of sign of vulnerability. He will be all over you. And here we go. Spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Hardland, we have the reigning world champion, the Chinese Terran player representing Dragon KZ Gaming. DKZ. It is Oliveira. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Zerg player, also representing Dragon KZ Gaming. It is Dark. He is leading the series 1-0. Go. And oh my god, Dark looking to spice things up a little bit here, going for a spawning pool first. We're going for a pool first instead. Dark, with this, he will gain access to faster lings. He's going to be able to sneak out across the map and delay the CC from his opponent. I imagine that's going to be the goal here of Dark. Is a relatively safe way to open up as well, in case he believed his opponent would be going for something like a proxy. But yeah, Dark is going to be the first to vary up his opener. Meanwhile, Oliveira back at home, going for what looks to be a Rax expand. We are going to be easing ourselves into this. If Oliveira, I'm sorry, I didn't miss game 1, whether or not Oliveira went for an SCV scout. If he skips the SCV scout, then he may be caught out of position, but here we go, the SCV is moving out across the map. With this, Oliveira will get eyes on the late hatchery, will be aware of the pool first, and he should keep his Reaper back at home to defend. As Lings are on the way. So again, thankfully Oliveira is not going to be cutting too many corners and not going to be skipping the Worker Scout. As he does dip in, and will confirm how late that hatchery is. And hopefully he doesn't venture out too far with this Reaper. Yeah, he's staying at home. Thankfully. He is going to be chilling back at home. The Overlord does get eyes on the Reaper as well, so Dark, he knows that the Reaper is waiting for his Lings, so he will keep his Lings out on the map. So, yeah, a bit of a stalemate here when it comes to our initial units. Reaper's stuck at home. Lings can't push in because the Reaper's at home, and from here we're just going to be droning. Saturating our bases, working towards a third. Likewise, Oliveira getting into his factory behind us as well. Reaper does move out. The Overlord didn't see this, by the way. The Overlord was pushed away, so Dark is not aware that the Reaper is out of position. And by the time the Reaper does reveal himself, then Dark may have missed his opportunity to go in. Now, this follow-up scout is really important. Oliveira, he needs to realize whether or not there's a fast Roach War. Does see the lack of gases. Oliveira content with what he's seen. Now again, as the Reaper moves out, Lings move in, but Oliveira is so ready for this. He already evacuated his natural. Is oversaturated in the main, but again, he was so ready. He was anticipating the Lings to come in. So really good foresight, really good read out of Oliveira. Very nice play. Any lesser player would have lost SCVs there. Oliveira does come across those Lings. Behind this, a straight up 1-1-1. Delayed third CC. Very aggressive opener here out of Oliveira. And this is going to be a Hellbat push. We're doubling down. Armory is on the way. Hellbats soon to be in production. So a very aggressive push here from Oliveira. This needs to trade well. Doesn't necessarily have to kill workers, but has to trade and clean up all the queens at least. And ideally, some worker damage. Just because we're going to be delaying that third CC for so long. Hellions, they rock up on the right-hand side. They're going to be able to get eyes on the third at least. We can see that Dark isn't really droning too much. He's saturating on 2 bases, going straight for the Roach Warren. And Dark, he should have Roaches in time. There we go, 6 Roaches in production. Dark hasn't really seen anything, but he's going for his own aggression essentially, and it's going to work out well for Dark. Roaches are ideal against Hellbat pushes. We do catch an Overlord. Hellbats have been revealed. And Dark just so happens to be just so ready for this. There we go. Roaches, they have arrived. And we shouldn't lose any workers here whatsoever. We focus on the medevac. We morph the Hellions and we're trying to get the hell out of here. And oh no! We will barely escape. At the same time, Dark gets across the map and gets eyes on the third TC. Does realize that it's still on the way, and Dark is doubling down. I mentioned before that Dark, he wasn't reactively going into Roaches. He wasn't reading Hellbats. He was just going for it. He just so happened to be going for his own Roach push, and he's committed. Dark is committed, and what do we have at home to defend? Bunker still on the way. No tanks, no Widow Mines. Banshee is coming out just in time, but here come the Ravagers. Now behind this, Dark is droning, but still committed with this. Still needs to break in. Go, the Ravagers, they have arrived. It looks like we should be forcing a cancel on the third. It's going to be close. But yeah, we should force a cancel, and that is brutal here. Oliveira, he already had a late third base, and it's even later than normal. And Dark, he's content with that. He backs off. I mean, that's good enough. A massive delay here on the third. Oliveira behind this, throwing down 2 more Raxes. Dark behind this, he can just drone up freely. Yeah, Spores in position. Lair is on the way. The third base is slowly getting up and running. Yeah, Dark looking very comfortable. And yeah, this makes sense. Oliveira, he's double expanding. You don't see this too often, but just because of how late this third base is, double expanding makes plenty of sense for Oliveira. It's a bit of an extreme reaction, but very necessary just because of the game state. Because Oliveira is far behind. So getting his 4th and 3rd at the same time. Banshees, they dip in between the bases, they catch a drone. Threading the queens, but again, we have plenty of Spores, and we should be able to force it back. We get a couple extra workers, though. 3 drones go down. Not too bad, but for the cost of a Banshee, suddenly not so worth it. We have a Hellion drop being set up as well. The goal here, Oliveira, he's hoping to keep these queens distracted. The main base is looking vulnerable. Okay, the queens, they're busy chasing down the Banshee, and the Hellions go in. And we need to kill some workers. We need to roast up a mineral line. 6 drones, 8 drones so far going down. We get another 2. God, that medevac is so... No! No, not like this. We do miss path. We head into the queen, take an extra hit, and the medevac goes down. I mean, sure, that was 11 worker kills, but remember, that was 11 workers for a medevac, a Banshee, Hellions. That wasn't for free. Thankfully, we still have at least one Banshee here on the right-hand side. Oliveira saturating his third, his fourth. Immediately, oh my, we're so bold. I love this. Immediately going to be landing the fourth base on location as soon as it's done. Like, this is a really risky investment out of Oliveira, but so far it is paying off. So far. Meanwhile, Dark is transitioning. Does have +1 melee on the way, so even though he started with Roach Ravager, he's pivoting away from that and getting into Ling Bane. He's going to be working towards Ling Bane Roach Ravager instead. With the Hive Tech, we can maybe even head towards Ultras. I'm not really reading Hydra Lurker yet, just because there are no range upgrades. But we'll see. We'll see what kind of direction Dark takes us in. As Dark is just amassing his army, working through those rocks. Meanwhile, Oliveira already saturating his fourth, by the way. So economically, Oliveira, he's catching up. He is catching up. As we're getting into our 8-rack setup, we have a second factory on the way, additional gas is being taken. Oliveira looking, yeah, pretty solid. Getting into a solid 4-base economy, 4-base production setup even. With the Hive Tech, there it is, Vipers are on the way. They will add a little more complexity to the army of Dark. Blinding Clouds are going to be king, especially against these tanks. Blinding Clouds are going to be very impactful, especially considering that Oliveira doesn't have a Ghost Academy, I believe. Yeah, no Ghost Academy, no Ghosts. There is no counter to those Vipers. There's no way to really force them back other than like trying to dive on them. So Dark, with a stronger economy to begin with, he's now using that to get into better tech. Faster tech. Here we go. Both armies have maxed out. Oliveira going to be pushing, but he does run into the army. Remember, Dark doesn't want to commit to a fight without Vipers. Vipers are going to be so necessary here, and here we go. We're going to be pushing in. The Banelings. Oh, we do catch the army on siege, and even without the Vipers, we clean up all the tanks. Oh, most of them. Oliveira going to be able to force this back. Keeps one tank alive. Where were the Vipers, by the way? That's what I want to know. I mean, they're full of energy. There we go. Vipers now on the way. Now, what we miss? What happened? So we're going to be going for some power bombs here on the medevacs instead. The drops are going to be forced back. Yeah, power bombs on every medevac even. Oof. Barely one of them is going to be going down. But Dark doesn't have enough to break through. He's waiting for reinforcements. Now he's committing. There we go. Gets one of those tanks. Gets the other as well. Even a medevac with the vials. Very nice pickoffs. Meanwhile, with the Vipers being revealed, we already have the Ghost Academy. Ghost production is commencing. +3 is on the way. Oliveira is on the back foot. He hasn't really been able to be too assertive and too aggressive on the map. He's stuck at home. Meanwhile, Dark is working towards those Ultras. Now, the downside here for Dark is that his only anti-air is Queens and Parasitic Bombs, so these medevacs are going by a bit uncontested. It is difficult for Dark to keep up and shut them down. But with the Queens are in position, they take down the Lib! Take down the Liberator. Another Liberator goes down here. We do trade with 6 drones, which is okay, but not ideal. This is worth it, though, as we do snipe a base. The Marauders, they go ham. They take down a hatchery. They focus down the drones. Really nice target firing. At the same time, though, Darky pushes. He denies the 5th. For a moment. A bit of a give and take. Oliveira was able to achieve quite a bit by shutting down that base. He did lose 2 full medevacs. Still trying to be as active as possible despite being down in supply. A bit of mines are fanning out. turrets are on the way. We can see Oliveira, he's now taking more defensive position here with turrets, missile turrets, sensor towers, tanks. Soon to be SimCity. He is trying to turtle. Some okay mine shots. They're okay. Meanwhile, I'm sure Dark wants to get rid of these Ravagers. He has a little bit too many of them. He wants to get into those Ultras, into Spellcasters. Kind of splitting his weapon finish up. Good snipes here on the Ravagers. At the same time, Dark hoping that Oliveira does overextend. And we're diving in the army, trying to force some friendly fire, but the mine shots do not go off. Power bombs here. Shutting down those Medivacs. Cannon plating is done. Now we have Overlord speed. Overlord? Ultra speed on the way. And Oliveira has been able to establish the center base. Planetary is done. Slowly getting up and running. Oliveira on 80 workers. He has a solid economy. He can sustain himself. And there it is. Second starport. Fusion cores on the way. I would love BCs, but this should be for Liberator range and Liberators. Again, Liberator Ghost is what we want to be working towards. Some decent mine shots. Oliveira just does not have enough to keep on pushing. Going for a drop on the right-hand side, but Dark has eyes on this. He will chase this down. Mine's connecting with melee lings. The Vipers overextend. The snipes go off. Big pickoffs. Big snipes there from Oliveira. Getting 2 of those Vipers. And Dark hasn't really been trading well recently. He's been able to keep up with the drops, true, but he took a lot of mines to the face with his Lings. He lost his Vipers, of course. Because Dark hasn't been trading well, he doesn't have a bank. He has no bank. He's trying to establish another base. But Oliveira is pushing. Dark is hurting. Yeah, forced to cancel. At the same time, trying to go for a Ling counterattack. Does get a tank. And this is what Dark needs to get going. Needs to go for these counterattacks, these run-bys. There we go. Ling drop into the main. We need to force Oliveira back. Dark needs some breathing room. Decent fungal. Catch some Marauders. We'll drop into the main base. Ling's getting ready to harass this third as well. Dark is looking to pop off. Meanwhile, when it comes to tech, still no Lurker Den or Greater Spire, I believe. Oh, sorry. No, Greater Spire is done. Working on +1 air attack. Ling drop into the main base, hoping to force an overreaction. Ling's also threatening the third, but alas, they are forced back. And we can maybe shut down these E-bays, but 3-3 has already finished. Oliveira pushing through on the front lines. Massive Widowmine shots. And Oliveira doesn't lose too much here. Lost both of his engineering bays, true. But he's already got his upgrades. Lost 8 SCVs. That was not really what Dark was looking for. And you can see Dark plummet in supply. Now he has a bit of a bank to work with, but what do we remax on? That's the question. There it is. Ultras. Ultras are finally on the way, and we're looking for a juicy... Oh no, the scan! I was gonna say, we're looking for a juicy fungal, but it's not gonna happen. Both infestors get shut down. Keen eyes here from Oliveira. Like, that's the only shot, the only chance here that Dark has is to lock down the army with those fungals. Ooh, big mine shots. Infestors are set up. Fungal is connecting. We do catch the ghosts. Yeah, a big catch here. 5-6 ghosts go down. Finally, Dark trading well. But we still have another 6 ghosts here on the right-hand side. Oliveira still has a standing army. He scans! That does catch the infestor. Again, just really good game sense, or really good vision in general from Oliveira. Like IRL vision, just seeing those infestors, seeing their shimmers, their shadows on the ground. Catching them off. At the same time, Ultra's going for a counterattack, but the main push, can it be stopped? I'm not too sure if it can. Corruptors are arriving. Files, they rain down on the army, but no big connections. Lings are getting damage done. They get 13 SCVs. And it looks like we should be able to force this back. Power bombs on Liberators. The Corruptors, they clean up most of the Libs. And the Ultras, they're not done. They're looking for even more SCVs. They get another 11, 13, 15. 15 SCV kills. That's 2 Mineral Lions. No longer mining. And things are getting a bit chaotic here. Suddenly, Dark has taken an economic lead. He has the better worker counts. He is remaxing. But Oliveira still has the more efficient army. Doesn't have as many Liberators as he wants. No, the Infestor! That does waddle into the scan. We've been a little bit careless with these Infestors. I mean, I say that. I mean, just a little bit unlucky. Unfortunate that they have been caught out. Ah, he scans, he sees! Shuts down another Infestor. Here we go, we are pushing forward, denying another one of these hatcheries. Infestor going to be going down. And here we go, we're just luring the army out. Big Fungal on the Ghost! The mine shots were insane, but we do clean up the Ghost. We shut them down. Another Fungal as well. GG gets called though. Dark, that's all he had left. The one fight, and Oliveira will tie it up 1-1. GG. You can see that Dark, he had no money, no economy, no bank. It was all or nothing. And Oliveira ties it up 1-1. GG. Oh my god. I'm looking at the graphs. Both players had pretty comparable armies at the end there, but Dark had nothing else remaining behind it. Was broken. And as we get ready for game 3, a big shout out to Falcon Paladin. Thank you so much for the raid. Hope you had a great stream. Hope you had a great cast. I'm assuming maybe a cast, maybe a ladder session. Falcon Paladin, of course, being another fellow English caster. Thank you so much. Thank you. Again, hope you had a great time as we're settling into game number 3. Doing a 3v3 ladder session. Oh, I see. Fair enough. Hope you enjoyed your team games. Not the most balanced of formats, but a lot of fun. A lot of fun with a good group of friends. Hope you had a great time. As we are settling into game number 3 to determine who takes a lead in the finals. Here we go. And spawning in the top right hand corner of Alcyone, we have the Chinese Terran player, the Red Terran representing CranKy Gaming, tying up the series 1-1 in the last game. Looking to take a lead here. It is Oliveira. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Zerg player, the Blue Zerg representing CranKy Gaming, as they are teammates. Being forced into a tied-up series, it is Dark. Again, Oliveira was trading so efficiently that last game. Again, just have eagle vision there, just sniping so many of those Infestors. I should say, scanning so many of those Infestors. It wasn't until the end of the game where Dark was finally landing with some Fungals, where finally we were able to take down some of the Ghosts, but by that point it was just too late. By that point, Oliveira was just trading so well and was just so far ahead, and with that, was able to tie it up. And now we're getting into game number 3. And I'm really curious to see how Dark approaches this. As we load into game 3, we're on a much larger map here. Alcyone, known for its split map scenario, known for its late game. There are so many bases to be taken, as well as these center goal bases as well. But Dark is usually a more aggressive and assertive player. Not saying he's going to go all in, but usually reliant on roaches, for example, in the mid game, hoping to end the game a little sooner if possible. But it's just so difficult to pull that off on Alcyone. The defender's advantage here, especially at this third base, is brutal. The high ground, the points of elevation, the Zonaga tower as well. Because of this Zonaga, depending on who has control of it, you will get eyes on a push that much faster, that much sooner. We'll see. So far, Rax expand. Standard opener out of Oliveira. Likewise, Dark going for a Hatch Gas Pool. Here we go. Again, sorry, for for those that are tuning in from the raid, this is of course the grand finals of the KSL, of the Korean StarCraft League. Not just the grand finals, but also the final KSL of the year, as we are nearing the end of 2023. We are wrapping up a year of StarCraft. It's been a great time. It's been really cool to see the community come together for KSL. For those that are curious, this is of course a tournament that is funded by the community with a Patreon. Exclamation mark KSL in the chat. To get the link to said Patreon as well, where you can gain access to replays as well as just supporting the Korean scene. It's all available to you. So we're settling into game number 3, and so far it is going to be an economic opener out of Oliveira. Is going to be going for a third CC before Starport. Starport is on the way. Once again, the Rax is a little bit further away, so it doesn't look like we're going for an add-on swap. Doesn't look like a Banshee-based opener. Winding it back to game number 1, could be Liberators and Hellions once again. But overall, economic opener out of Oliveira. Dark still trying to piece this together. Just going to be droning. And making sure he shuts down this Reaper. At least zones it away. Here we go. And yeah, as we mentioned before, there is that Liberator on the way in production. Again, the Rax was just too far away to really get into a viable add-on swap there. It would have taken a little bit too long, as buildings do take quite some time to float around. And hopefully Oliveira is going to have better success with this. If you weren't here for game number 1, it was on site Delta, and Oliveira did go for a Hellion Liberator opener, and he kind of misjudged the situation. He dove into the natural with his Hellions, and he lost everything, and he didn't get a single drone. That's how brutal it was. He didn't get a single worker. The Liberator did kill 2 drones in the main. That's all it really accomplished, and it all got shut down. Dark got map control because he was able to clean up all those Hellions. Dark denied the third, was able to kill SCVs, and contained Oliveira to 2 bases for a lot longer than he would have liked, and it was just a really rough start for Oliveira. It did snowball into a victory for Dark. So hopefully this time Oliveira will have a little bit better judgment when it comes to when and where he does dive and commit with his Hellions. We can't throw them away. It's tempting, don't get me wrong, it's so tempting to maybe see a vulnerable location, a vulnerable mineral line, and just go for it. But if Dark is lying in wait and if he traps your Hellions, then suddenly everything goes south. So we go Liberator making its way towards the natural, avoiding the third. No spores in the natural either. Hellions, they're running past the Queens, we're going for the dive once again! This time the drones are lining up. We have a handful of Lings in position. 3 drones go down, but it looks like it's going to be a one-way trip, and the Hellions, can they escape? The drones! He wants them! Ooh, does get another volley off. 8 workers this time. Much better than game 1. We do get 8 worker kills at the cost of all those Hellions, but that may have just been enough. Back at home, there's not really much to protect this third base. We have a handful of Marines. Dark is going to be moving out with his Lings. But Oliveira should be okay back at home. He should have enough to hold on. So this time a much better trade for the Terran. Lings do arrive. They're going to be able to deny a depot. That's a kill, not a cancel. But we can't get into the mineral line. And Oliveira, he will get away with his third base this time. Meanwhile, behind this, we have +1 range on the way alongside the Roach Warren. We mentioned it earlier, Dark, he is very much so one to embrace Roaches in ZVT, especially in the mid-game. And with +1 range on the way, this could eventually lead into something, sure, like a +2 timing, or even like a Hydra transition as the game goes along. We'll see. We shall see. Remember, last game, Dark also invested into Roaches, but he went into +1 melee. He had a much more cleaner, crisp transition into Ling Bane. So Oliveira is going to be pushing. Roaches are amassing. Dark getting a little bit supply block there. Was that, what, 7, 8 overlords on the way? We do break free. Oliveira clearing up whatever creep he can, but he can't really threaten the hatchery. There's plenty in position. Mine's going to be baited out. We do go for the drop into the main, though. Oliveira, bold move. Avoiding the army, going straight for the main base, but we are in position. Oliveira is going to be forced back. As he gets forced back, he's getting his third up and running. Fourth CC is on the way. Doesn't gain too much at that third. But so far, a really strong start here out of Oliveira. Meanwhile, Dark, he's pushing. He's going to be cutting workers here at 3-base saturation. That is 66 drones and no more than that. So Dark, he's just amassing roaches, and he will be hitting a timing with 1-1. 1-1 about to finish up in a couple of seconds. Dark is pushing. He's committed. And we don't have any tanks. Uh-oh. The first tank is still in production. And we're pushing our way up the ramp, and Marines, no bunkers. Oliveira was not expecting this. He was not ready for this. The boys are being pulled. And Oliveira is being caught with his pants down. SCVs are falling. We're trying to get on top of the Ravagers, but we have a massive wave of roaches coming in behind this. The factory is exposed. Even if the tank comes out, it will go down. And we take control of the third base as 20 SCVs falling. There's +2 range on the way. Dark doesn't need it. He may be able to break even the natural. You have one tank in the back line alongside some of these Liberators. Looks like we're going to be able to hold on to that natural base, but I can't say the same about the third. Dark does shut it down. He could even try to bile down the wall. Oh my god, he goes to the libs! Bold move, the unsiege! Just at the wrong time. Just as Oliveira unsieged, Darky pushes in, takes down the Liberators, and suddenly this position is that much weaker. Yeah, Dark, he smells blood. He's not droning. He droned up a little bit, droning up to 71, but now we have Blings and Roaches on the way. Dark, he's aware of how vulnerable Oliveira is, takes down another tank. There's only one tank left, and it's gonna get piled down. There is no escape. The tank falls. The boys are being pulled. Oliveira is hurting. 2 more tanks, they just now pop out. Yeah, Darky's waiting for the siege, goes for the biles, takes down another. Even within range of the armory as well. Oliveira's being a little bit cheeky as he loses the armory. He's going to be expanding on the right and left-hand side. He is muling. He's trying to make SCVs. Trying to make the best out of a bad situation. Meanwhile, Dark is going to be checking. He's fanning out his changelings. There we go. He's going to be distracted by the main army. We have a drop moving out, which means we have nothing at home to defend. Not like this. Oliveira dropping at the wrong moment. GG gets called, and Dark will take game number 3, taking a lead in this series. GG. GG. And to be fair for Oliveira, I mean, he had to go for a Hail Mary play. Like, he was already at death's door. Things were looking bleak for the Terran, as that 1-1 Roach timing really did catch him off guard. Oliveira had a better start, I should say, compared to what we've seen in the past. He had a better start, but it took him a little bit too long to recognize that Dark wasn't droning. That Dark had taken a 4th, but he wasn't saturating it. And he was just maxing out on Ling Roach Ravager. And unfortunately for Oliveira, he was just woefully underprepared. This is also the downside of going for a Liberator opener, is that Banshee-based openers aren't just designed to kill workers, but they're also amazing defensively against Roach-based compositions. After the initial harassing phase, they can turn back around. They can focus on Roaches, Ravagers. They can have their way with the ground army. They can be a really safe way to play against a player that's known for opening up Roaches, like Dark. But Oliveira has been avoiding the Banshees. He has been avoiding them, which is interesting. Interesting to say the least. And we'll see how he bounces back. We'll see if he can, because Dark is 1 game away. 1 game away from becoming this week's KSL champion. Oliveira needs to fight back here and now. Here we go. Spawning in the top right-hand corner of Solaris, we have the Red Terran player from the land of China, representing CranKy Gaming, TvZ. It is Oliveira. He needs your help, he needs your support to bring him back to force the ace match. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Zerg player, the Blue Zerg, representing CranKy Gaming. TvZ needs one more game, uno mas, to take it all, to be this week's champion. It is Dark. We go. It all comes down to this. And so far, Dark not messing around with a pool first this time. He's just going to be going for a hatch gas pool opener. Everything's looking normal. Meanwhile, on the side of Oliveira, he's not tempted to go for a low ground 2-racks. He's not going for 2-racks Reaper. Is instead going to be a little bit more standard here, just going for a racks expand. Everything looking as it should for the time being. It's all looking normal. But we'll see how we deviate. We'll see where we deviate. Oliveira has been quite fond of the 3cc into Liberator opener, so we'll see if he relies on that again. We're on Solaris. It's quite a large map, a lot of bases to be taken, but the speed zones do add a little bit more complexity to this. The rush distance by ground is a little bit shorter because of that, because of these speed zones. But we do have to bear that in mind. Dark is just setting up here. Have our queens on the way, links as well. We pull out of gas, and should soon be working on that third. So there we go. The first Reaper does make his way across the map. Going to be threading that mineral line, dancing with the lings, but Dark shouldn't be losing any drones here. Should be able to dance with this Reaper, minimize his losses. Did invest and did make 6 lings instead of 4, so that is going to be one less drone that Dark has to work with, but he's just playing safe. Just being secure here against Oliveira. And once again, third CC. We have a 3cc opener here from Oliveira. Very economic. As we have seen plenty of times tonight. And this time, here we go. A big difference here, as you can see, is that for the first time this series, the racks gets floated further back next to the starport, which means we should be going for a tech lab here. Yep, there we go. Tech lab is on the way. And for the first time this series, Oliveira is going for a Banshee open. Meanwhile, Dark is massing links. As we have a Banshee-based opener, Dark, he is going to be flooding links across. That's a lot of links, Papi. Oh my god. Just randomly cutting workers here at 27 and just sending nothing but lings across the map. And so far, this is unscouted. Oliveira back at home. He's just happily getting into his Hellions. And this is all about reaction time. It's all about whether or not Oliveira can react, can pull back and save these Hellions and avoid the surround. Same with these Hellions here. So far, we're on hold position on top of the ramp. Really good positioning here from Oliveira. Meanwhile, he does run into some of those lings. Again, good positioning here from these Hellions. We do get on top of one of those Hellions, so it will fall. And SCVs are going down. It looks like we're barely breaking through. But we do. We break through. We get on top of the Hellion. Likewise, we're still flooding nothing but lings across the map. Dark, he's completely all in with this. And he has broken the natural. The wall does get up. But we take control of the natural base, shutting down all these SCVs. 9 workers go down, and Dark is now droning. He's droning up behind this. Was this worth it, though? That's the question. Because these Hellions will be able to clean up the lings without too much issue. Dark has to retreat. Okay, so he killed 11 workers. He was able to get a couple of Hellions. This was 42 lings, a big investment from Dark. And behind this, he is vulnerable to a counterattack. Like, if Oliveira just sent his Hellions across the map, then Dark would be in a lot of trouble. Stark has droned up a little bit, saturating his natural. Getting into more lings. Meanwhile, Oliveira getting into his own racks production. The Banshee does move out across the map. We have not invested into Cloak. Just a vanilla Banshee. Yeah, so spores are not required. Queens are in position. The Banshee doesn't achieve too much at all. Dark still amassing links here towards the bottom right. Essentially, with this Overlord, he's waiting for the Hellion move out. If Oliveira were to counterattack with these Hellions, bam! Immediately a run by. Immediately Dark would push in. So we have our 3-1-1 setup. Dark does get eyes on the tank production. And this is his sign to drone. Again, he's aware of the 3cc, so he's just going to be droning. The game is settling from here. We're calming things down, Bob. We're calming down. Hellions are moving out, which means Dark could push forward. Yeah, the Hellions have been spotted by the Overlords. Dark, he's going for the dive. The wall is open. And there's not much at home to defend. We get a surround of these Marines. We can get on top of the tank. Oh, just barely do wall off. But SCVs are going down. The Hellions are racing back home. Oh, the friendly fire. Oh my god. 7 SCVs. Fun fact, 6 of those SCVs were killed by the tank. That's what the battle report tells us. Ay, ay, ay. As Oliveira is going to be taking his third. Again, the Hellion counterattack wasn't able to achieve too much. And now Dark is getting into 1-1. Alieness is on the way. Lair as well. Lair is delayed just because of how chaotic the start of the game was. But we're working on it. And the game should be able to settle from here. Dark has a better economy, yes, but he's behind in tech. Like, tech-wise, he still has a lot of catching up to do when it comes to Lair tech, bailing speed, 2-2. Regardless, we're going to be calming things down. Oliveira being active here with a handful of units. Does catch an Overlord. The first 2 medevacs have arrived, so finally Oliveira can be active with some drop play. He can move out. So Lair is finally finishing up, and now we can settle into what we've been missing. Bailing speed, eventually an infestation pit. Drop is coming from the right-hand side. Not too much here in position to defend. Lings, they will be able to respond. They force the pickup. And with the completion of that lair, we're going straight into a Hydra Den. Okay. It's going to be Lingbane Hydra out of Dark. And again, he's already at almost 80 workers, 76. Saturation-wise, looking good. Oliveira is going to be committing with this push, though. Stim is done. Combat shields, 1-1. How many tanks do we have with this? 2 tanks. Alongside all these Hellbats, and Dark is not quite ready for this. Bailing speed still a ways away, and yet Dark, he gives up the base. He does pull back. Yeah, very mature decision here from Dark. At the same time, going for a massive link counterattack, and we are out of position. 10 SCVs. Oh, the Bailings! Are we looking? We're not looking. The Bailings, they will connect. We shut down the Marines, forcing friendly fire. Oliveira may have killed the base, but he didn't kill any workers. That's what's important. As Dark, he's waiting for Bailing Speed, and there we go. Bailing Speed has finished. Now we can engage. And Dark, he has more than enough. The Queens are pushing forward. God, how many Queens? 10 Queens! We got to surround. Bailings roll in as well, and we will shut this down. The Marines will survive, but they have nothing to support themselves. Now, they will supply block Dark for a moment. Medevacs are being focused down. Oh. To get one of them was empty, thankfully for Oliveira. Was empty as he's going for a double drop towards the north. Trying to go for a split push, trying to pull apart the attention of Dark. But I do worry for him just because Hydras are on the way. The northern drop has been spotted. Dark is keeping up. And Oliveira still just resaturating his third. Dark threatening a run by. Oliveira has to be wary. Now Hydras are coming out. Hive tech is upon us. So Hive is in production. Dark will be taking the center base. Dark could do with some more drones, but there it is. 5 more workers on the way. It's going to be 81 drones in total. An ideal worker count for Dark. And that means that Dark can focus on remaxing. And as Oliveira pushes out, there's just so much creep. There's just so much creep that we have to work through. Oh, there's one Widow Mine. He's going to get baited out, and there we go. Dark, he can pull the trigger. No detection, unfortunately. Yeah, Overseers are on the way. Oliveira establishing his 4th. Dark should be looking to respread as much of this creep as he can. Remember, he's got 10 queens. There we go. Dark going to be trying to collapse on this army. Pretty efficient trade here. Good stutter stepping out of Oliveira. Does escape. Does evacuate. And even though Dark is maxed out, Oliveira, he's slowly catching up. Slowly catching up in that army supply. Recovering with his worker count. But the problem is, though, the quality of the army. 3-3 on the way for all of our players. Liberator doing what it can. We're heavily reliant here on these Marines. We do pick off one of those medevacs. We're gaining ground here in the center. Mine shot's going to be going off. Pretty big connections. Getting 4 drones. But we will swallow this up. Uh oh. As we try to chase this down, these Widow Mines might reset, by the way. There is no detection. Okay, we notice. Thankfully, it looks like we do notice to do pull back. Widow Mines are dealt with. Oliveira focusing on his main push. Now, when it comes to his army composition, it's just Marine Mine, essentially. There's 1 tank on the field, and it's defensive back at home. There's no Ghost production. There we go. Ghost Academy just now on the way for Oliveira. Barely any Marauders. It's a very fragile army here from our Terran. He has to be very careful with how he engages. One wrong step and Oliveira may lose everything. So far trading well though. Shaving off a lot of links. And the creep has been receding. Dark hasn't been able to keep up here with just respreading it. The other big thing that we've been missing, there we go, the medevacs! They get yoinked. 2 medevacs go down. The Vipers are the real MVPs. Oliveira finally starting up Ghost production, which will help. Will help against those Vipers. Dark is going to be rotating over towards the right-hand side. The 5th base is soon to be taken. Dark hasn't been able to touch the 4th or the 3rd in quite some time, but the 5th is more exposed. That's going to be the next target here for Dark. Meanwhile, Lunker Den is on the way. Hydra Lurker Viper on the horizon here for Dark. Oh, that's a lot of freedom. That's a lot of liberation zones. Meanwhile, we just avoid it. We avoid the Liberators. Massive link counterattack here in the mineral line. The tank, once again, getting quite a bit of friendly fire. SCVs are getting picked off, and Dark, he wants to commit. He's rolling on forward. Takes down a couple of Marauders. At the same time, he has taken control of this 3rd base. Dark may not have denied the 5th, but gets 6 SCVs. And now we can rotate over towards that 5th Nexus? That 5th CC. The mine shots, though. Widow Mines are going to slow him down. We catch the army! Oh my god. Oliveira, a bit of sleep at the wheel there, takes a bailing to the face. Not like this. Vipers pushing forward. Nice EMP on one of the Vipers, but not on the other. And we're going straight for the Nexus. God, straight for the Planetary. I haven't cast... What? I don't keep saying Nexus, and GG is going to get called here as Oliveira, he loses control of his 5th and his 3rd. And he just cannot keep up. Dark will take the series 3-1, becoming this week's Korean StarCraft League champion. GG. GG, well played. Duck just all over Oliveira in this game. Looking quite comfortable out from the onset. In the initial Link Flood, was able to deal quite a lot of damage. And sure, Dark, he was a little bit behind when it came to his follow-up tech, but he had so much freedom to just drone up as heavily as he wanted to, drone up to 40, got all of his bases up and running, eventually get into the Lair tech and the Hive tech, and yeah, with that, Dark, he was in control. At no point was Oliveira able to really assert himself on the map. We had like that first double tank push, if you remember, the first double tank push which killed a hatchery. That was like the only time that Dark was ever really threatened. Outside of that, Dark had full map control, and Oliveira couldn't really assert himself, couldn't really be active, and GG. GG, well played. And with that, congratulations to Dark. My condolences to Oliveira, but hey, he went for a finals run. He made it all the way to the finals, so very impressive here from our Terran. And a Happy New Year. Happy New Year, because this was our final KSL of 2023. It all did end here. Of course, it's going to be coming back next year in 2024. I'm uncertain if we're going to be taking a hiatus. I think Chicken Man and Dave will be a little bit more aware of that. But regardless, we are going to be wrapping up the KSL for the year. But we're not done for the day. We're never done for the day. Obviously, here on the CranKy Ducklings, we're always live. We're always casting StarCraft. And we're going to be back in a couple of hours. I believe in 3 hours' time. Yes, oh, sorry, not 3 hours. Never mind. In an hour and 50 minutes. Just under 2 hours, we're going to be back with Grand Platypus Open number 100. 100 GPOs. A big number, a momentous occasion here for the CranKy Ducklings. This is a region-locked tournament for the Oceanic and Southeast Asian region. A tournament that we've been running for many years. We've been running ever since 2019. End of 2019 was when we first started hosting our tournaments, and it's been a long road, a long journey, and we're going to be hitting you with number 100 in a couple of hours. Just under 2 hours time, so I need to take this moment to quickly get some food. I'm starving. I need to get some food, get some water, get some rest, and we'll be back with our next broadcast. The final GPO of the year. When it comes to our tournaments, we will be going on a hiatus when it comes to GPO. We already had our last Sparkling Tuna Cup. We already had our last Tenacious Turtle Tussle. Our events are going to be going on hiatus for the month of January, and we're going to be just taking a moment to kind of reflect and go over what works, what doesn't work, what's popular, what isn't, and where we should invest and where we shouldn't as well. So we're going to be going over like a period of, just going over everything in January. But again, for now, enjoy the final GPO, the final Grand Platypus Open. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be a lot of fun. Be a lot of fun. But with that, thank you so much everyone for tuning in. Thank you so much everyone for supporting. Big shout out to Falcon Paladin for raiding us earlier, and a big shout out to, I believe it was Ortinko, for the 500 bits. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the support. We do appreciate it. Again, our next broadcast is going to be in 2 hours time. If you are going to be going to bed, if you happen to be like in North America, for example, I know it's getting very late in the Americas, then we're going to be back tomorrow. In just over 24 hours, we're going to be returning with a replay cast of ESL Open Cup Americas. At the time, we weren't able to cast ESL Open Cup Americas because we were actually casting a different event. We were casting the Masters Coliseum Americas qualifiers, so those two tournaments did overlap. So we missed out on casting that ESL Open Cup live, so we're going to be going over the replays tomorrow. Tomorrow we will have that replay cast. So plenty of StarCraft here going on throughout the week. We were also going to have a New Year's event, which would have been crazy. We were going to have a New Year's event, but I believe that has been postponed. So what other events do we have going on? New Year's Day. ESL Open Cup Asia, of course. ESL Open Cup Asia, into Americas, into Home Story Cup. It's a lot of casting to do, a lot of coverage leading into the new year. So I hope everyone has been having a great time. Hope you've all been enjoying your weekend and your holidays. Happy New Year. Take care, everyone. Take care. We'll see you guys in a couple of hours for some more StarCraft. Until then, hasta luego. See you later. Bye. Hasta luego.